Welcome back to Grit Gym. Today is a little bit of an anatomy thing. We were going over this earlier today, and I figured, and I was geeking out on it already, and I was trying to think of a topic for today, because usually I think about these about a week out, and I didn't get one done for today. So anyway, so you guys are going to get on an anatomy thing today. If you're watching this later, please comment in the comment section with hashtag replay. If you have any questions, put them down below. Grit Gym, really... The only thing, the biggest thing that we have going for us that differentiates us from everybody else is our level of expertise and our level of education. So that's what we try to put forth, and to try to be a source of education for the world to go to for when their shoulder hurts or their back hurts and their hip hurts and all of these things, so that they can get out of the pain and so they can bridge the gap between physical therapy and real life. Because that's kind of what I've done, what I've kind of ended up specializing in throughout the course of my career, is because I've had so many injuries. And I've learned so much about this stuff because of those injuries and because of my desire to help people, that it kind of just ended up amassing this huge accumulation of, knowledge, and that's why we do these videos. So sometimes people will ask me, what's your agenda with these videos? What's your intention? And I'm like, well, my agenda is to get you to come into Grit Gym. My agenda is to get you to contact me. But beyond that, it's to help people out. You know, I don't really have too much of an agenda. I don't really know what the social media thing is, other than I knew that I was being a coward and playing it small by not being on social media and putting out a good message for people to learn from. So anyway, so today we're going to talk a little bit about the shoulder, and to do that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 1, 2, 3. To do that, we need to go over the spine. The shoulder, everything that happens at your shoulder, everything that happens in your hip, everything that happens in your knee, ankle, everything, it's going to have a source. It's always going to have a source. So it's going to be from the hips out, it's going to be from the spine out, it's going to be from the top down, it's going to be from your feet up. It's going to have a source. It's going to have something, and nothing comes in contact more with your environment than your feet. So you need to look at your feet, and then you also have to look at alignment. Are we sitting like this all day? Are we doing different things? But when we get down to the engineering marvel that is your body, we can really look at some of the structures here. So we're going to have we got a spine. So if we're just looking at a shoulder blade, that's a huge shoulder blade. We have a shoulder blade out there. The shoulder blade has this one thing up here. It's got another one over here. And then you've got your arm bone here, let's say. And everything is connected in here. Now, the interesting thing about the shoulder is that let's say that this is your skull up here, and on the bottom part of your skull back here, it's really flat, and then it kind of comes out into this other thing. So I'm making it a dome like that. But if you're looking at the anatomy of the shoulder, one of the coolest things, and Eric and I don't know if you can see this very well. I'll switch colors. Eric and I were going over this today. Maybe green can be bones, and blue can be muscles, and I'll switch it in with red or something here in a little bit. But we were going over this today, and the difference between your mid-low trap and your rhomboid and your trapezius and your levator and your serratus anterior, and how when we go, and really we were talking about in terms of overhead pressing. So if we were to take the bar and go straight up overhead like this. Now, a few things before you start doing overhead pressing. Overhead pressing is fantastic. It is wonderful. It is awesome. You want to be working towards being able to do overhead pressing or utilizing it in your program, but you have to qualify for it first. So for one, we need to be able to keep that rib cage down when we're standing. Easy enough. We also need to be able to keep that rib cage down when we put our arm above our head. We also need to be able to hit this level at a minimum of shoulder flexion, and we need a strong rotator cuff in order to do those things. So if you don't qualify, if you don't have all of those, I don't mean just one of those, I mean all of them, and be impeccable within each one, you do not get to do overhead pressing, but you need to be working towards being able to do overhead pressing. But in order to explain this, I'm going to have to, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll make red the action, I'll make blue the muscles. All right, so we've got a trapezius. The trapezius is going to go kind of like this. It's kind of going to have these attachments that kind of go like that. The trapezius, this huge muscle up here, and all the alignment. So it goes from the bottom part of your skull all the way out to the end of your shoulder. It's a very interesting muscle. So at the top, some of the qualities of the muscle at the top are going to be different than the ones at the bottom. The ones at the bottom are going to pull the shoulder blade down. The ones at the top are going to pull the shoulder blade up. Now the difference is in the rhomboid. The rhomboid comes along, and the rhomboid is actually the other direction. It's attached like this along there. So this is a very common engineering thing. If you look at bridges, it'll be this way. It'll be one cable pulling down and away this way, attached to something here. It'll have another one pulling down and away this way. It creates this contrast pull that creates a ton of stability in there, makes it very, very, very strong. Okay, so you have some of that going on here. So the action that ends up happening is this shoulder blade gets pulled this direction. Okay, by this action. Now, what would that serve? We'll get into that. Good thing I got 2 erasers. What would that serve? Well, we'll get into that here in a second. So you've got that. So you got your trapezius, you've got your rhomboid, but you also have this levator that kind of comes up into the top here. Now, the question that Eric had was, even though shouldn't this kind of, like, because it does, it tilts that shoulder blade, so it elevates it, but it kind of tilts it because it's kind of pulling it back that way. So with an overhead press, and you're trying to get that upward rotation, but you want this good packed position, and most people think packed means this, and that's what we're really talking about here. That action that we just showed was this, pinching that shoulder blade back towards the spine. Now, what I'm going to say is, like, most gyms will tell you to do that. Pinch your shoulder blades together. They're dead wrong. They're absolutely no doubt about it. They are dead wrong. And the reason for that is because we want the shoulder blade to come up and around. We want it to elevate and upwardly rotate, kind of nice and congruently, like together, in like a symphony. Your body should work like this, very like dancing. Like, it should look very, like, really. When people's joints move really, really well, like, you watch Usain Bolt run, and it is a thing of beauty. He is a gorgeous runner. I mean, it just looks like a dance for him. It is immaculate. That's what, like, movement, like proper movement, that's what that looks like. But your shoulder blade doesn't want to pinch together and then pull down and then try to upwardly rotate and come up. It doesn't want to do that. And that's the signal that you're giving your body when you say pinch them together. Now, I need to come back and kind of retrospect here. Certain exercises you will want to pinch your shoulder blades together, but those are only in the case of, like, a bar sitting on your back where you're already pinned back like this, and this is for the people who are qualified to do back squats because of their core and because of their shoulder. You have to qualify both of those things. And so they're naturally just going to end up pinning back together and giving that nice shelf for the bar to sit on. That's a little bit more of a technical thing for the lift for powerlifters and for strongman. The other one is a bench press, where you only get so much width to the bench press, so you want to take advantage of that real estate as much as possible by deferring as much weight from the bar into the bench. It's much less about your shoulder health and much more about how much you can press. That's part of the reason that not totally, but it's part of the reason why a dumbbell bench is superior to a barbell bench, but why they should complement each other, and why we use them both. But anyway, so with that said, you sometimes you will pinch your shoulder blades together. It just happens. But for the most part, we do not want to be pinching our shoulder blades together. It's a bad idea. So we've got this. So we've got this cross pull that is almost is creating this effect, pulling it this way. But we have this interesting thing going on because of what is happening on right here. And also, how did I draw this up earlier? Because it didn't look too bad. So if we're looking, this is looking at somebody from behind. Now let's look at somebody from the side. So let's say it's their left side, so they have their head here, neck, upper back, lower back, right? So their shoulder's going to sit out front. That shoulder blade is going to sit. Oh my God, that's so bad. Actually, it's even backwards. That shoulder blade is going to sit. Anyway, what's going to happen here is we're going to have this kind of force couple that's going to go on the other side. So on the front side of the shoulder blade that is in the back, it's going to kind of pull around like this on those ribs. It's going to attach on these ribs right here, and it's going to pull forward. So we have this force couple. So there's this thing pulling this forward like that is kind of fighting back and forth between those rhomboids pinching back towards the spine, and that shoulder blade being pulling that shoulder blade forward like this. They're called your serratus anterior. They're right here. So you have this kind of fight going on that shoulder blade, and that shoulder blade's tough. I mean, that shoulder blade's not going to get ripped in half. There's a girl in here that actually ripped a piece of her ischial crest off which that's happened, that bone gets broken in there, but she was also 12 years old when that happened, and she was in track, and they were having her just run way too much, and that's what I think caused it. She might also have like a cyst or something in there. It's completely possible, but anyway, you have this fight going on, and it's almost exactly like your butt and your hip flexor. One pulls up and one pushes back, right? So you have this force couple where they both have a purpose. Well, these get all the attention, and this gets no attention. And this should be this is the darling of the whole show. That serratus anterior, that pulling forward, that muscle right here that is wrapped, that pulls all that forward, that should be like that should really be like the darling of your show. It should just it should be a big part of everybody's program. That's why push-ups are always going to be superior to any kind of press where you're laying down on your back. That's why so many push-ups are done out here at Grit Gym, is because it naturally engages that protraction of the shoulder, and I don't need to go into that, but it's going to pull it forward so that the shoulder blade has something to fight here and something to fight here. Now, something else that is going on between this little tiny muscle up here and this big muscle that's going to attach kind of somewhere around in there is this thing's going to come down and attach all the way to a lot of people for the other side of that hip and the bottom part of that shoulder, and it's going to attach all along here like this. Okay, so you have that serratus anterior pulling forward, but you also have this guy that is pulling. It's like it's pulling from this part of the shoulder, and it's pulling down and around and down through there and back and across. Okay, so it makes you go like this. It's a big one that you're going to use for a chin up or a dip. It internally rotates the shoulder. You're going to use it in bench press quite a bit. It's that big flare back there. Unintentional rhyming. That's like 5 days in a row that I have rhymed on the show and didn't mean to. But I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Anyway, so you have this huge lat muscle, big badass right here, going up against this little tiny guy and a fairly big upper trap right there. Okay, so this levator is trying to elevate the shoulder blade to be able to get that elevation with that upper, and then all of this is conspiring along with the serratus to get this nice upward rotation, and it's very hard to do that against this huge lat muscle that everybody tends to be really good at dominating, because that's kind of the world that we live in, is kind of crouched down on your phone, on a desk, in the car. We just kind of tend to be really stiff and tight in that area, and we kind of plow down. And this is also connected all the way down into your hip. It's this big muscle. And it's going to take over this. So that's why, like, a lot of the programs that you see out at Grit Gym, because when we run assessments on people, we rarely find that this muscle is weak. Like, very rarely is this muscle weak. It's usually a serratus anterior is fairly weak. I hardly ever see a levator that is strong. I hardly ever see a trap that does what it's supposed to do. I usually see a trap that has way too much tone because of a breathing pattern issue, or because the mid-low trap rhomboid area isn't strong enough, or because that's just kind of like, they're just kind of tense people. You know, when people come in and I take their resting heart rate and they have it and it's 88, well, they're nervous as hell, for one, because they've never been here before, and it's like going to a party where you're not invited. And when you walk into a new place, you walk into a place like this, and you've never been a gym goer before, and you're meeting new people, your heart rate's going to be elevated. You're a little bit nervous. It's like walking into a party where you don't know the theme of the party or anybody there. Man, I would never show up to that party. So I applaud people for walking into Grit Gym. I think it takes a ton of courage, and I just think that is one of the greatest attributes that you can possibly have, is to face that fear, to still do the thing in the face of the fear. Anyway, so we're doing an overhead press. That means the arm action has to come up. That means the shoulder blade has to upwardly rotate. That means the shoulder blade has to elevate. So how do we get this nice healthy position instead of just letting it hang out here? What we need to do, and I think the cueing that most gyms give, is to pull the shoulder blade down and to pull the shoulder blade in to your spine. And like I said earlier, that's stupid. That is dumb. It is wrong. And all it does is make people, like, I've had people that have come in here and I'm like, raise your arms up above your head. And they do, this is what they do. They drop, people that have been to other gyms and have trained religiously for years with other gyms, they pull the shoulder blades down, they upwardly rotate, and then they elevate. That's backwards. You want to elevate and upwardly rotate at the same time. You want this kind of nice upward rotation elevation happening at the same time. So but that's what they've been told. Pack the shoulder. pack the shoulder, pack it down and in. And for rows, for almost the only two exercises I can think of off the top of my head where that would be the case is a barbell bench press, only a barbell bench press, not a dumbbell bench press, and a barbell back squat. That's the only time I think you'd really pinch your, like where you would really pinch your shoulder blades together, unless you're doing some kind of special exercise where you're trying to hit that mid-low trap like we do with the prone low trap raise. Where you might engage that on certain people. Otherwise, there's some specifics that I could probably think of if I really wanted to dig around. But anyway, the action should be that it should be this. We actually want to go to that serratus anterior. It should be this. That motion right there. Did you see how my shoulder blade changed? That motion. I'm not bringing my shoulder blades together. I'm packing them right into my rib cage. I'm getting tight. I'm getting really tight. I'm trying to drive them into my rib cage to solidify them in that spot so that I can get strong there. And then my serratus actually kicks in and does what it's supposed to do. The serratus is a part of your core. It is a huge core muscle. We like to leave this one out of the whole core debate, but it is. It is a huge core muscle. How you actually move is going to be very dependent on that strength of that serratus. So there's a big difference between this, that action that most gyms teach you how to do, and this. This is that good packed position that we want to get. When we get here, now it's very easy for me to press overhead. When I'm back, when I want to pinch down together, it's a lot harder for me to get my arms up overhead. And this is the reason why I think people really suck at overhead pressing, is partly because of the fitness industry telling them wrong this entire time. Do not pinch your shoulder blades together. Pack them. You want that separation between your rib cage and your shoulder blade. You want to suck that together. You want to suck that together and get that nice and tight, and then it'll move on there better in that closer environment where it can get more intimate with itself. But anyway, that's a little anatomy lesson. I don't know if that helps you guys at all. I did not want to get out into like rotator cuff territory and inter-rotation of the actual upper arm bone. I wanted to stay away from that because I wanted to keep this. I'm already over time. I wanted to keep this fairly short. But people that say your upper trap is not important, they are wrong. It elevates the shoulder blade. It is extremely important. Good luck walking around keeping your head on top of your shoulders without your trapezius. But it does tend to get overdeveloped as well as the lat. These two tend to get a little bit overdeveloped, and this in the middle kind of tends to get left hanging out to dry. And we didn't get into rear delt stuff because I don't want to, because that's in there with that rotator cuff stuff. But the serratus anterior, the relationship between the serratus anterior, the lat, the rhomboid, the mid-low trap, the upper trap, and especially this levator right here, extremely important, and we have to respect and appreciate what is actually happening here. It is not about, you do not want to depress the shoulder blade and suck it into your spine. You do not want to do that. You want this nice upward rotation and this nice elevation. You do not want the other two first. The other two first impede your progress. You want this nice upward rotation where it kind of rotates around, and you want it to elevate at the same time. And you get that by way of pulling that shoulder blade into the rib cage first. So this is packing. Get big. Pack that shoulder blade together. But I didn't pinch. I packed. There's a difference. Alliteration aside, there's a difference. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like the anatomy lessons, let me know, because usually we don't have this many of you guys hanging around here. Marshall Lee, Alex. Oh, Alex, what's going on? Marshall Lee, I'd love for you to watch this from the start and we can discuss. Do. I don't know who Marshall Lee is, but you can introduce me later. Anyway, if you guys enjoy the anatomy lessons, I love geeking out on this stuff. So if you guys like this, let me know. I'll geek out on this all day. But anyway, I'm going to shut this one down. Hey, man, it's been too long. I'm going to have to take a trip to England. All right, I'm going to shut this one down. Thanks for being here, guys. Please like, comment, share. Tell me what you thought. I'd really like to know if this is something you guys want to know more of, because I dig this stuff. This stuff's really fun for me. But anyway, like, comment, share. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you, what's tomorrow, Friday? I'll see you tomorrow, Friday. Be a good show. All right, bye for now.